It's a pleasure to be here today. It's great to see the crowd, good crowd out here. So Silver47, you may not have heard of the company because it is a brand new company. We've been private since 2021, and we had our trading debut November 14th. Ticker is AGA on the TSX Venture. Our mission is really to grow silver ounces, and we're on track to do that. So I may be making some forward-looking statements, so here's our safe harbor statement, so please have a read through that at your leisure on our website. So capital structure of Silver47 trading around 60 cents, so it gives us about a 30 million market cap. Current shares outstanding is 50. And you can see our financings on the left have raised about 10 million private since we started. Between 50 and 80 cents. Major shareholders include Eric Sprott Management and Crescat. So collectively, those three holders own about 40% of the company. So we're pretty excited to really drive this story forward, and it really is I think, an early development story. We are exploration driven, and what is it about? Grade, scale, and jurisdiction. In Alaska, we're one of the favorite jurisdictions on the planet. We have a strong resource in hand, which we'll talk a little bit about, 169 million silver equivalent ounces based on two zones, Dry Creek and West Tundra Flats. I know what you're thinking, WTF is it's West Tundra Flats. But really on a fast track development to a milestone to build this thing. And we have a huge land position, so lots of room for new discoveries, and we're going to be testing some of those. I'm excited about the project because it is a polymetallic deposit. I think polymetallics, may not get their due. They are actually a great deposits to have because they generate good revenues from multiple metals, and those multiple metals can generate those high margins. Because when one commodity is down, they can help normalize the volatility in commodity prices. So, and we all know that 70% of the silver supply in the world comes from polymetallic mines. So don't fight the trend, is what I say. So where are we located? 100 kilometers south of Fairbanks, Alaska. You can see to the left of the screen is the Usabelli coal mine, which is a power source, which we'll tap into at some point. And then we have road and rail down to Anchorage, Alaska. We do have a bit of infrastructure to build. There are a couple of airstrips, and we're looking to build a new camp this year on site. But one of the big takeaways is that we've got a massive block here, 620 square kilometer district play. We've got a resource of 15.6 million tons of 336 grams per ton silver equivalent, giving us around 168 million silver equivalent ounces. In a jurisdictions that is pro-mining, they want to build these things, and we're on state-managed land, so even irrespective of the Democrats, Republicans in the U.S., we have strong support from the state to build this. And also, the other interesting thing is in Alaska, they have a sovereign fund called ADA that will fund long-term debt through their infrastructure fund. So while we have a little bit of infrastructure to build, we're about 30 to 80 kilometers from the rail and the road there. I think that's a ticket that's going to be funded by the state. So just a bit on the VMS camps. Why we're excited about this is that we're sitting on a district play. This is VMS SEDEX, and this is just a comparison courtesy of 3L Capital looking at other well-known mining camps for VMS. And some of these generate a lot of gold and a lot of silver as byproducts. And some of them have been running for over 100 years. So once you get into one of these camps, you've got the potential for long life mining opportunities. So a little bit more detail into the geology. We do have the right rocks. We're Devonian age rocks that have been. These rocks are well mineralized. We've got so many showings here. It's quite remarkable. The point of this, there's really two zones that have seen most of the exploration to date. There's been over $30 million spent on the project to date, so this is not an early stage project, but we do have a 60-kilometer trend, and we've got lots of targets to follow up on. And if you look at the resource numbers, the way I look at this is, yeah, it's a lot of metal in here, there's a lot of zinc in the deposit, but if you look at it on a gold equivalent basis, It's like a 2 million ounce gold deposit equivalent at about 4 grams. So if you look around the world on the mines that are mining 4-gram material, quite high margin potential here. And we're fully permitted for the work we're doing. So we had this resource published in January 2024, 15.6 million tons. You can see the numbers. It is zinc forward, so it gives us about a million tons of actual zinc equivalent at 7%. It's about 500,000 tons of zinc. So precious gold and silver, so we're talking about 36 million ounces of actual silver and 214,000 ounces of gold. So the gold-silver right now ratio to base metals is about 30%. Our mission is to increase that precious to base metal ratio, and the recent drilling that we did demonstrates that, that we can do that. And we're using relatively conservative numbers on our cost base for our equivalent calculation. And we do have some metallurgical work done by the previous operators, giving us about 70 to 90% recoveries on these metals. And of course, we're going to do more work on that as we advance it. So the Red Mountain resource right now is made up by 2 zones called the West Tundra Flats and Dry Creek. They're about 2.7 kilometers apart. They're actually on the same formation on opposite ends of the syncline, open fold. So we think there's potential for these zones to connect. We don't know yet, but there's lots of room to expand this resource. We think that's really the opportunity in front of us. Is we think with a couple of good aggressive seasons of drilling, we could rapidly grow this resource into a near-term development story. So we did a bit of work on what's it going to take to get to that sort of PEA level zone, and we've sort of been crunching the numbers. And of course, this is conceptual because you don't know what you don't know, but based on the continuation of the mineralization for about a $10 million ticket, we think we can add about 8 to 12 million tons of underground resource. So really the objective is going to be to advance this quite quickly. I have these little stars on here. These are the holes that we drilled in 2024. Just a handful of holes, really some infill and confirmation. The West Tundra Flats is fairly shallow dipping, and you can see the spacing there is like 200 to 400 meter spacing in some cases. So lots of room to fill in there and increase the volume. But importantly to note is that the really good drilling recovery rates that we had this last year improved the grades, and here's some of the numbers that we drilled in 2024. Hole 106 on the Dry Creek zone. We get these massive sulfide horizons within these broader semi-massive horizons. So you can see on hole 106, for example, we cut 2.5 meters of almost 15 grams of gold, 250 grams silver, and almost 22% zinc with some lead and copper. So on a combined basis, that's 2.5 meters of 61% zinc equivalent, or almost 3 kilos of silver equivalent. And then again, within that sort of broader 24-meter wide horizon. So lots of room to add on this and continue to improve. This is just some of the historical. This is why we got excited about the project. Just some of the silver grades are pretty remarkable in the kilo range. For VMS, this really is a precious metal rich VMS that we're gonna daylight that value as we advance on this project. And just quickly on the valuation, just took a handful of our peers. Silver47 is under our current value is about 16 cents a Canadian, a silver equivalent of ounce in the ground, or 11 cents US. So relatively cheap, I would say, relative to our peer group. And the point of this is that from 11 cents, I think there's an easy mark to that $1, $2 range, which is a reasonable peer objective. So just in summary, we've got a solid resource, an inferred resource of, call it 170 million silver equivalent ounce resources. We've got the grade, we've got the scale potential. We think there's explosive growth potential on a large exploration target, a 60-kilometer trend, a district scale, precious and base metals, a near-term development opportunity. And with that, I want to thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate it.